This is our planet, our origin, our home. Blue planet, bluer than we've ever seen it before. The total meltdown of the poles and glaciers led to a 70 meters increase in ocean water levels compared to the beginning of the first phase of the so-called Industrial Revolution. Almost all major cities are underwater. The global sinking of Earth's coastal areas was catastrophic for humanity. But it was also an opportunity to recover, and even to be reborn. Drawing inspiration and strength from past catastrophes and tragedies throughout the history of mankind, humanity came together, determined to reconnect with the planet and with each other. One such catastrophe was the shipwreck of the San Pedro de Alcantara, one of the most extraordinary shipwrecks in history. The San Pedro de Alcantara, a Spanish warship which wrecked off the western coast of Europe with 430 men, women and children aboard. We are now in the year 1786 in the Gregorian calendar. At 10:30 on the evening of February 2nd, the San Pedro de Alcantara collides with the rocks of Ilha de Papua near Peniche in Portugal. This 64-gun ship was overloaded, carrying precious cargo from the port of Callao in Peru, more than 600 tons of copper and more than 150 tons of silver and gold. A fortune for the time. The ship was also carrying a precious scientific collection, collected over 10 years by the Spanish botanists Ruiz and Pavon and the French botanist Dombey. Was the fate of the San Pedro de Alcantara sealed when it left Callao near Lima, Peru in April 1784? The ship should have taken 6 months to make the journey to Cadiz, Spain. But the ship's overload forced it to stop in Talcahuano, Chile, and return to Callao for repair. From here it departed again in December 1784. After sailing around the entire South America, the San Pedro de Alcantara makes another stop in Rio de Janeiro for 4 months of repair. And from here, it left at the end of 1785, crossing the Atlantic with the aim of ending the journey in Cadiz. On that night of February 2nd, 1786, the sea was calm and the wind was fair. Navigational error was the cause of this disaster. That night, 130 people died and 300 people survived. On board were political prisoners from the 1782 rebellion, led by Tupac Amaru II. Until that time, this was the largest insurgency of indigenous people in Latin America against Spanish colonizers. On the San Pedro de Alcantara was the son of Tupac Amaru, young Fernando, who witnessed the public execution of his father, mother, and older brother. After the tragedy, it was time to bury the dead, care for the living, and rescue the riches from the bottom of the sea. The rescue operations of San Pedro de Alcantara were one of the most extraordinary in history, with the participation of hundreds of people, in the service of the Crown of Spain and with the support of the Crown of Portugal. Over the course of 3 years, more than 40 divers recovered almost the entire cargo of precious metals from the ship in apnea, using only cables and pulleys, a remarkable feat for the time. The shipwreck, as well as the rescue of the ship's cargo, lit up the imagination of artists such as French painter Jean Pillemont, who made several drawings and paintings shortly after this event. And there is much more from San Pedro de Alcantara that we inherited. The efforts of archaeologists Jean-Yves Blot and Maria Luisa Pinheiro Blot, who led research campaigns at the site from 1986 to 1999, were essential to rediscover this story. Among the various findings from these archaeological campaigns at sea and on land, the discovery of a silver stirrup with the head of a faun and fragments of a piece of Ximeno ceramic with a human face should be mentioned. More significant was the discovery in a mass grave of the remains of a prisoner, still with an iron shackle around his tibia and fibula. In the same mass grave, archaeologists also found bones of a 6-year-old child. The legacy of San Pedro de Alcantara was still present in Peniche, on the Ilho de Papua, in the Porto de Arreo do Norte, in the Cabo Coveiro lighthouse, in the Church of São Pedro. And this legacy was also present in the memory of the people of Peniche, and even in their DNA. In the end, tragedy turned into strength, and even more, it connected people from around the world. And after all, we are all in the same boat.